Welcome to State News and Topics. I'm your host, Dr. Otis Cutler. Good afternoon, or actually good afternoon. This is Dr. Otis Cutler, and I'm your host of State News and Topics. Today we're going to have a special guest, Secretary Jimmy Rhee of the Governor's Office of Minority Affairs. Mr. Secretary, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing outstanding. I want to say congratulations, or not necessarily congratulations, but to send my thank yous out to all of those workers who did an outstanding job of removing a record amount of snow. I know it was a trying task, but we appreciate all those efforts and all those hardworking young men and women out there trying to make sure that we can get to our destinations.
Oh, yeah. I think our transportation from Secretary Pete Ron to everyone there did a tremendous job. I mean, we had 30 inches of snow, and we were able to sort of get out of our neighborhood the following day. It's incredible.
Yeah, incredible. Well, Mr. Secretary, again, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for taking the time out to meet with me briefly before we did the show. I appreciate that. I know how busy you are. But let's jump right into it. I know we don't have a lot of time, and I know you're extremely busy. So tell us a little bit about your department and discuss your background and how that has prepared you for this position.
Yeah, what we do, the Governor's Office of Minority Affairs is the state's primary advocate for small, minority, and women-owned businesses. So we connect small, minority, and women-owned businesses to state contracting and procurement opportunities through what we call Minority Business Enterprise, we call it MBE, and Small Business Reserve, or SBR programs. And so we coordinate these two programs with about 70 participating state agencies. MBE has 70 agencies participating. SBR has 23 agencies currently participating, and so we monitor these programs in accordance with the applicable policies, laws, and regulations. So as a cabinet-level agency, we take the lead role in advising the governor on key issues affecting small and disadvantaged business communities, namely how better to develop and implement policies and procedures to increase participation by small businesses, simply put. Yeah.
Sure. And small businesses, if you could speak to that, small businesses are important to the state's economy. A lot of people don't recognize the importance of MBEs, WMBEs, and small business as a whole and how it drives the economy, job creation. I like to say that small businesses are a great source, the leading source of job creation and upward mobility.
Oh, absolutely. Small business is a backbone of this country and this great state, Maryland. I mean, we have small businesses create more than one half of the payroll jobs. They are more innovative. As small businesses, when we talk about small businesses, we're talking about your neighbor, okay? We're talking about your family members. We talk about MBEs, meaning minority business owners. But in Maryland, when you think about it, Maryland is a majority minority state. We have 1/3 of our population is African Americans, perhaps 10 to 12% Hispanics, 6% Asians. And when you add women-owned businesses on top of that, we are actually talking about super majority of the state. So small business is absolutely important community, and Governor and Lieutenant Governor, they both recognize that, the role that small businesses have on overall Maryland's economy, and it's an absolutely important group to us. My understanding is, as of 2012, SBA had this data where in Maryland alone, we had more than 525,000 entities registered as a small business. And that's a lot of entities, okay? But, what we try to do is, because of this important group, we're trying to provide this group with the access to funding, access to government, the contracts. So we do a lot of outreach programs to sort of inspire and instruct this community, because it's such an important group in Maryland.
Sure. And I'm going to give a plug. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor. I know he's been on the show in the past. I just sent an email over the weekend to try to get him to come back on the show. But when you talk to the governor, let him know that I'm a friend and I want to get him on the show. I'm going to actually email his office. But we haven't had the governor on yet. We'd love to have him on WLB on this show to talk about the efforts in the state with working with small and minority businesses. When you talked about...
I could tell you honestly that the Governor Hogan and Lieutenant Governor Rutherford, their commitment to small business community is really second to none. And as I see them every day, and I'm going to tell you, my organization, just as anything else, it really reflects their vision. And I think someone once said, organization is mere shadow extension of its leaders, and certainly that's true with Maryland. Their vision, their commitment to small business community is really, it's just simply inspiring.
Sure. Well, tell us about, you spoke about initiatives and community outreach. Tell us some of the things that your department, I know it's actually just about over a year maybe that the governor's been elected and in office, but if you can speak to that in this short period of time, because 12 months is not a long time, but if you can speak to some of the things that you've been able to do, bring up to speed in the department since you've been there, some of the community outreach initiatives.
Yeah, the way we look at the minority business community is this. Minority business most likely is a small business, and small business is most likely minority business. They're one and the same, okay? And therefore, it is very important, whether one is a minority business or a small business, that they succeed in the private sector, okay? And eventually, as they gain experience and past performance, their probability of success in the public procurement sectors, government contracting market, is tremendously enhanced. So we see that as a two-step process, okay? Competing in the private sector, you are successful there, and then you move up the ladder to the second stage, which is where you compete in the government sector, which is much more competitive, more complicated. So what do we do? Last year, we have had approximately 39 events. We held 39 events where we did a lot of outreach programs, and we focused on three areas that we felt is relevant for small business to succeed in a business, and that is, first of such is their corporate competency. I mean, we want small business to be good at what they do. They need to be best at what they do. If they're not that way, they're going to compete in price, and there's always somebody who's cheaper than you are. And when you fall into that commoditized, vicious cycle, business becomes very tough, okay? So we are telling people to increase and enhance their competency, so make sure they are absolutely best at what they do, whatever it is that they do. And the second thing that we talk about is the importance of funding, okay? Access to funding, capital. Now, money to business is like blood to our body, without which one cannot sustain the business. No matter how good a service or product one has, if there's no money to support it, sustain it, market it, it's very tough to be successful, okay? So that's the second factor, where we instruct and inform people where funding might be accessible or available. And then the third area that we focus on is we want to make sure that the small business owners understand the greater environment in which they exist, where they are positioned within that larger environment, so make sure they position their business so there's a tailwind forward, pushing them forward, not headwind against it. So we instruct these people so that they have an insightful understanding of certain policies that impact them, whether it's certification, whether it's procurement related, so that they understand where the opportunities are, as well as avoid pitfalls, okay? So that's what we do. We focus on three things: competency, number one, access to funding, number two, and then their insightful understanding of the certain policies that impact them, number three. And on those three pillars, we want them to have their business plans resting on those three things. But when you miss a one or a two or three of those pillars, it becomes absolutely almost impossible to succeed, whether private sector, whether one is in the public sector. So this is the basic information that we take out there and try to enhance the small business viability.
Sure. Mr. Secretary, not sure if you're aware, but last month we had Secretary Bassett on the show, and obviously you're coming on this month. And I think it's critical to look at how we're piggybacking off of one agency or department on the other and how the two interact and work together. But I certainly want to keep it in front of you that we want to, and I want to use this platform. I want to use this platform to help your department and the other departments to strengthen minority businesses, WMBEs in the state, and particularly in this region where our listenership is. And so we want to certainly do our part to strengthen that. And just keep in mind that we're here for you. We want you to come back. How can people learn more about your department? How can they find you? How can they reach you?
Oh, we are on a website. We're on a website as well as we're on a Facebook. We do a lot of Twitter, and you certainly want to call us.
Okay.
And there's a lot of ways that people can reach us.
Okay.
And also we're out there knocking on doors as well, you know.
All right. So it's the Governor's Office of Minority Affairs, Secretary Jimmy Rhee, R-H-E-E. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. And Mr. Secretary, do you have the number handy? I should have written it down, but does someone there have the number to your office they can call and get information and also get your website information if you have that?
Yeah, number is 410-767-8232. Our website is goma.maryland, fully spelled out, .gov. goma.maryland.gov, G-O-V.
Okay, Mr. Secretary, the number one more time before we let you go.
410-767-8232.
All right. This has been Secretary Jimmy Rhee of the Governor's Office of Minority Affairs. Mr. Secretary, we thank you for being on the show. We do look forward to having you back.
But thank you, Dr. Cutler. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to State News and Topics with your host, Dr. Otis Cutler. Join us every first Monday from 11 to 11:30.
There's far too many of you die.